So, Nazi kings. We know what Nazis are, and we know what kings are. But do we know what Nazi kings are? So, as usual, let's have a quick look through the circus version of what the Nazis are. So I say the word Nazi, this is what leaps to mind. I say Nazi, this is what leaps to mind. If I say Nazi to the AI, let's see what leaps to mind. So, a Nazi refers to the National Socialist German Workers' Party. Correct. Hitler was a socialist. So, the party, the National Party, the Nazi Party, the National Socialist German Workers' Party was a political party in Germany that operates 1920 to 1945. Correct. The ideology, Nazism, National Socialism, correct, is a far right, is a far left. Socialism is left wing, not right wing. Right wing is fascism, and at the outbreak of the Second World War there were only two fascist leaders in Europe. There was Franco from Spain and Mussolini from Italy. But Mussolini had to change from fascism to socialism in 1941 when Italy cocked up in the Balkans and Hitler had to come in and rescue him. And part of the price of Hitler rescuing Mussolini in the Balkans was that Italy was converted from fascism to socialism, leaving only one fascist leader, Franco. Hitler was a left-wing socialist. The Nazi regime transformed Germany into a totalitarian dictatorship, blah blah, correct. The regime's ideology, the characteristics of racism, anti-Semitism. So let's have a look at that word, anti-Semitism. I say the word anti-Semitism and everyone seems to think that that means anti-Judaism. It doesn't. Semitism is a language, an Arabic language, predominantly spoken by the Palestinians. So the word anti-Semitism would mean that I am against a language spoken by the Palestinians. That's literally what anti-Semitism means. It's got shite all to do with Judaism or Israel. But hey, which led to the persecution of murder of millions of Jews, Romani, Slavs, homosexuals, blah blah blah. Yes, but Hitler wasn't specifically against the Jews, predominantly because Hitler's grandma was a Jew, meaning Hitler's mother was 50% Jew, which means Hitler was 25% Jew himself. He also had 6 field marshals who were Jews. He had 2 entire armies completely made up of Jews. So the whole Hitler being against Jews, again, bit of a circus version. So that's what the AI says about Nazism. So, the title is Nazi Kings. Let's have a quick look at kings. So first we have the Tsar. The Russian Tsar, the Eastern European Khazar, the Roman Caesar, the Polish Hazar, the Winged Crusaders. Tsar, if you haven't guessed by now, means king. And we have the Vikings. And as I've said in previous talks, the word Vi is German and it means we. So the word Viking literally means we kings. So as we know, the Israelites, the sons of Jacob, like to call themselves kings. They consider themselves as being superior to everybody else, the 24 pairs of chromosome perfect humans. They were, well, their ancestors were, but they aren't today, put it that way. So we have King Don. King Don the Dan. Now we know King Don the Dan is a Danite, specifically through his mother. Here we go. Mary. Mary MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod, who comes from the Isle of Lewis. Lives just down the road from the Callanish stones, and the Callanish stones were actually first laid by Cuchulainn of the Tuatha De Danann, the tribe of Dan. Here we have Don the Dan and both his parents. We have Mary MacLeod and his dad, Fred. Fred was a complete and utter bully. Win at all costs, including anything. He eventually led to Trump has a brother, so these two had two sons. His brother couldn't cope with the bullying, became an alcoholic and committed suicide. The weak man in the middle, Trump, he followed his dad. He thought his dad was a hero, and this is why this little weak man has become such a bully, and a lying bully, a used car salesman. So let's have a quick look at Mary. Mary MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod, coming from the Isle of Lewis, and this is the emblem for the Clan MacLeod. I burn quill I see. Well, there's a couple of translations to that. One of them is I burn so I see, possibly. But the other translation is I shine so I see. So, I shine. The Tuatha De Danann, another name for the Tuatha De Danann, was the Shining Ones. I shine so I see. They're also called the Watchers, back from the biblical times. So, I shine so I watch. A Danite. And while we're on the Isle of Lewis, talking about Danites, we have to talk about Highlander. And one of the leading tracks for the film Highlander, here we are, born to be kings, princes of the universe, fighting to survive in a world of darkness powers. Here we are, princes of the universe, here we belong, fighting to survive. They're going to become rulers of our world. They're immortals. I have inside me blood of kings. I have no rivals. No man can be my equal. Blah blah blah. So basically, declaring themselves kings of the world, and no one can be their equals. It sounds about right. So, as we're talking about Hazars, Caesars, Khazars. Now they all come from the Central and Eastern European areas, even going into Russia, as we found out with the Tsars. So in Germany we have the tribe of Gad. Next to them we have the tribe of Asher. Now Asher and Gad were sons of Jacob, but not sons of either one of his wives. Jacob had two wives. Rachel couldn't have children, so she gave Jacob two of her servants to sleep with. They both had children. One of them was Gad, one of them was Asher. So although Gad and Asher were sons of Jacob, they weren't considered as being 100% tribes of Israel. The tribe of the Gads are better known as the Goths. The tribe of Asher are better known as the Vandals. If we go further over to Poland, we come across the Hazars, and if we go down into the Ukraine, we come across the Khazars. So, these Ashkenazi Jews, we come across this word Nazi again. So how did we manage to get the word Nazi in a bunch of Jews if they were around for 1,000, 2,000 years before Hitler was ever born. Ashkenazi. So if we take this word Nazi and do what we normally do with it and consider it as being a compound, we take the Z, the Latinized Z, off it and change it to an S, and we get the word Nazi. Nazi. If we then take the word Nazi and put that through a translation of ancient Hebrew, we come up with the word president or the word king. So Ashkenazi, who were predominantly Eastern European, Ukraine, just touching into Europe, can literally be translated to Asher, the king. Another group that likes to call themselves the kings. And while we're in Eastern Europe looking at Nazis, the modern day Nazis are called the Banderas, and predominantly they are in the Ukraine. So every time you hear about these Ukrainian Nazis, this is who they are: the Azov Brigade, the Banderas, these Ashkenazi Jews who are now Nazis. There you go. That's where your tax dollars are going to. That's where Starmer is sending all your money to. This is who the Europeans are in full support of. Nice. Anyway, back to Britain, and if we're talking about the royal family and kings, let's have a look at Harry, the king. That title has a whole new meaning to itself now, and as we know, the swastika is just a symbol for Sirius, the black star, the black sun. So we have Harry the Nazi. We have Harry the king. If we take the word Harry actually comes from the word Ari. Ari is the original name for Ireland. Air. Nazi. Harry, the Ari, king. And blonde hair, red hair, white skin, blue eyes. Yep, he's a Danite. So Harry's mum is Diana. Now we won't go down the circus version. We'll stay with the circus version. Sorry. Diana married Charles. They had two kids. So this is the emblem of the Spencer family. One thing that's leaping out, we have the crown, obviously, but we have the Danites. The Tuatha De Danann, the Danites, Griffins. So Diana's family bloodline come from the Danites, and Diana the Dan, is a Danite. Now, she married and had Harry the Ari with Charles. Charles Saxe-Gotha Gothenburg, or however you want to say it. And this is their family crest. As we see, we have two lions. Those are the lions of Judah. So basically, Harry was a formation of the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Dan, bringing an end to the presentation. Thank you.